Hello, welcome to the Connectional America Business Alliance, hosted by the American Business Podcast. I'm excited for this event. This is our monthly business networking event. And in this event, we invite professionals, exceptional professionals, and we talk about their businesses, what makes them different, and we'll also share their contact information with you so that you can be in touch with them. Today's number is 7. This is how many business professionals are with us today to get the Connectional America Business Alliance monthly online networking event started. Let's invite our guests, our attendees, and let's get the conversation started. All right, perfect. Well, good morning. Thank you for attending, and thank you for joining us. And we have different subjects to cover today. Especially, I love us to, talk about your businesses. What makes your business outstanding in the marketplace, and I allow you to share your professional insights with our listeners in the Connection America Business Alliance networking event today, hosted on the American Business Podcast. All right, let's get started. Well, as a start, I like if you can introduce yourself and your business and tell us about your company a little bit. Maybe let's start with Alex, if that's okay, and then we can go around the room. Alex, would you like to go first?
Sure, yes. Okay, my name is Alex Khodorov, and I'm the owner of Amrus Consulting. And as you can see from the background, I do provide consulting services for quality management, mostly for small to mid-size manufacturing companies. And I cover all sorts of clients. And what I do is I establish and make sure that their quality management system uh, is supports the requirement of ISO 9001. So that's my main field where I do my consulting. And I also support AS 9100, which is the aerospace standard. Um, so in effect, what I do is I set up the whole structure within the organization so that the quality management system is consistent and satisfies the requirements of ISO. And then I perform an internal audit. Okay, so even after the certification, and internal audits are required on a yearly basis. And then, I support the organization to make sure that they conform to all of the ISO requirements. I've been very successful in this business. Uh, I'm very picky as to which businesses I work with, but so far all my work has been very successful. So that's what I have been doing, and I hope to continue doing that.
Thank you, Alex. Much appreciated. Jolie, would you like to go next?
Sure. Thank you for having me. I am Jolie Leidner, and I own Jobs by Jolie, and I am a staffing company. So I staff, believe it or not, every position you could think of, every industry, from temp to perm to permanent employees. We also do career coaching with candidates. We do resume help. So we try and find the right person for your organization by sitting with each candidate individually if we can. If not, we'll do a Zoom, or because we do staff nationwide. And, just try and I love talking to new college grads and mentoring them. So that's what we do here.
Yeah, this is really exciting, and thank you for sharing with us. I appreciate it. Well, I have more questions for you and for all of you, but let's have this first round first, and then and then we'll jump to other subjects. Sami, would you like to go next? Would you please, introduce your business, your products and services briefly, please?
Sure. Thank you for this opportunity. It's great to meet everybody. My company name is iTech. We basically have three verticals: ERP, cybersecurity, and cloud infrastructure. On the ERP side, we specialize in SAP, NetSuite, which is an Oracle product, and Microsoft Dynamics. For infrastructure, we mainly provide cloud infrastructure support, migration and workload management for Azure and AWS. And on the cybersecurity side, cybersecurity is a very big space. Within cybersecurity, we specialize in identity access management and privilege access management. And the products we work with are CyberArk, SailPoint, and Savient. So we have office. We're based in Toronto, and we're trying to expand to the U.S. So we have a small project management, sales, and delivery team here, but bulk of our delivery gets done from Bangladesh. We have a 70% delivery team over there, and we work in North American times, working with clients based on what they need. And then our track record has been so far quite successful. Industry-wise, we would like to focus on manufacturing, distribution, primarily. But that being said, we have covered other industries as well, such as mining, professional services, and so on. So that's in a nutshell what we do, and look forward to talking a bit more about our specializations. Thank you.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. One of the good things about this event is that we are able to introduce our products, our services, and what makes us different in the marketplace to our audience and to our listeners. So this is really exciting to learn about your businesses. Eric, can you tell us about yourself and your company and your services, please?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin.
Good morning.
Hello, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity here. So my name is Eric Monroe. I run a consulting business, E. Monroe Consulting. I've been in providing employee benefits to small and mid-sized companies around the country for the last 35 years. I am partnering with a large insurance company called Risk Strategies that was recently bought out by an even larger company called Brown & Brown. Their primary focus is property casualty and group benefits. So I'm on board to try to help them build out and offer additional benefits in the retirement plan space, group insurance, and wellness plans, which is a new topic that getting a lot of interest out there is some new wellness plans for corporations. So our clients are small to mid-sized, closely held corporations, from 10 to a couple thousand employees is our sweet spot. And we provide a suite of benefits. So if they're a manufacturer, they're looking for different kinds of insurance and packages than somebody who's maybe a law firm. And so we customize and try to offer Fortune 500 benefits to all those small businesses.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Eric, for the insights. Well, we'll talk more about your business in a minute, and let's continue and let's complete the introductions phase in the Connectional America Business Alliance event. Laila, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you? Happy Friday.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for being with us. Would you please introduce yourself and your organization and your services, please?
Yes. So my name is Lila Stromer. Excuse me. I run my editorial services. I've been a freelance editor for about 14 years. And prior to that, for 6 years, I was managing editor of an academic journal. So I copy edit anything that's nonfiction. So it could be an academic article. It could be a press release for business. It's basically making sure that your written word is designed for your audience. So might be two press releases for similar companies, but their audiences, one might be an older audience, one might be a younger audience. And so do you use emojis? Do you not use emojis? So it's helping you get your word out as clear and crisp as possible for your audience. My background is actually theater, so I know a lot of people get nervous when they hear editor. They think of their seventh grade teacher and red highlights and marks on papers. I am not that person. My background starts in theater, where I was actually working with playwrights. So I'm very collaborative. Um, and that's what I do. I work with clients and I work hand in hand with them. I just don't do the work and then hand it off to them again.
Thank you, Layla, for these insights. Much appreciated. Let's go around the room. Jesse, good morning.
Good morning. Well,
Happy Friday.
Good Friday. Weird coincidence, Lila, because I also come from a theater background, and I do team building and employee engagement through theater and storytelling. So we are at a point where people are trying to find every way to retain their employees because we're in a passion driven culture right now where people can do gig work or they can become entrepreneurs. There's so many different opportunities. So how do you maintain your employees? You maintain them by creating connection, by creating relationship, all of the stuff that theater does. I know if you've ever heard of like improv to gain confidence, that's part of what we do, but it's also about the relationship building, about creating a culture of transparency. We also do wellness programming. And I would say right now we're focused mostly in the senior living space and also tech and BPO space. But we are industry agnostic, and we just had a lovely session with a staffing organization. So I love working with staffing organizations as well.
Yeah, this is great. So one of the exciting part of this event is that, well, we can perform the business networking together, right, among here, and also at the same time we are in front of thousands of the American business podcast subscribers and business-minded followers. So that's a win-win situation for all of us in that sense. Jesse, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, is there anything else I'd like to add?
Any introductions? Yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk more, but I just want to make sure you cover your part as well.
No, I mean, I think the only
Okay.
other thing I would like to add is that if you're looking at your organization and you're looking at how to increase your revenue, just know employee engagement is not just rah, let's all have fun. It is a way to increase your speed. It is to save money on retention. And it is a way to truly make sure that productivity and communication moves fluidly throughout your organization.
I appreciate it. Well, also to our group here and also to our listeners in the American Business Podcast. So previously we had Alex as one of our guests. We had an interview. So we had the interview with Alex got a lot of views, thousands of views. Similarly with Jesse, we had a great conversation together. His passionate interview style, his insights really got a lot of views as well on our YouTube channel. So that's really exciting. And in our group, I love to interview every single one of you. So let's make sure after these events, let's also schedule our one-on-one interviews as well for the American Business Podcast. It's gonna be really helpful for our audience and listeners to learn even more about you in terms of your career journey. Well, great. Dan, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks again, everybody, for this platform. Looking forward to talking with you. My name is Dan Krishman. I head up the ramp practice for Kerr Consulting. Kerr Consulting is a accounting, business services, and technology services company. We focus on mainly aligned with a accounting systems company called Sage, which offers various types of accounting systems for different size businesses. Our main industries are manufacturing, distribution, but also have a lot of clients in healthcare, professional services, and a growing list of clients here in Houston, oil and gas. So we are located in Houston, Texas. However, we do have 25 locations now around the United States. More recently, I kicked off a new practice within our company. It is partnering with a company called Ramp Expense Management. You may have seen some of their advertisements on the Super Bowl and just about everywhere, short of them placing their stickers on the sidewalk. So it's been a very fruitful partnership working in between them and Sage. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Yes, it looks like ramp is ramping up. So looks like it's going well. And also one more note, Dan, who are you trying to reach? Who is your ideal client in general, you will say?
Yeah, great question. Small and medium-sized businesses that are looking to optimize their back office accounting technologies.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, I hope I had everyone in our group for introductions. Looks like I have, so I think we can continue our discussions. Well, so in this introduction phase, you shared about your company, your organization in general. What do you do? So um, when you think about your organization and your services, hold on one second. Let's see. All right, organization and services. What makes you different, and why should companies, organizations choose your organization, choose your services, and partner with you as a vendor? So in this section of our networking conversation, if you can talk about what makes you different and why you should be we should be partnering, they should be partnering with you to get the services that you are offering, that will be great. Well, maybe we can start with Alex. Alex, so in terms of ISO 9001 compliance and quality management services. What makes your company and services different, and why should organizations partner with you for the compliance and ISO 9001 purposes?
Okay, it's a good question, Kevin. What I try to do is I work personally, and I'm the only one in my organization. So, as I mentioned before, I'm very picky as far as who do I want to work with. But then, whoever I select, I really work with them very closely. And as I mentioned before, my goal is to establish within that organization a quality management system that is compatible with the requirements of ISO. And again, what is a quality management system? It's really the main purpose is to make your customer happy. All right. And you make your customer happy by delivering a product that's what they want. You want to deliver on time and with no defects. And that's really a top level of what the purpose of a quality management system is. So, again, as I said, I work closely with the organization from beginning to end. And the really important moment is when the auditor from the registrar, so that's when they're actually getting going for the certificate for the ISO certificate, is I'm with them and I support them fully until they actually successfully complete the effort. And so far, I've been, successful with every single one of my customers, and they appreciate, uh, that whenever I work with them, I'm part of the organization, and I don't like delegate to somebody else. I personally do everything for them to be successful.
Yes, thank you very much, Alex. Especially in terms of compliance, ISO 9001 is very important for manufacturers and other organizations in general. And your insights are very important. And your services, if you ask me from my point of view, is critical for certification and to make sure the quality management system is in place, running properly in an organization. Jolie, shall we continue with you? So you do staffing and you help companies find the best talent in the marketplace based on their requirements. So what makes your services and company different, and why should organizations partner with you for staffing and talent management purposes?
So, to start out, I'm different. I started out in a corporate environment. I did not start out in staffing. I ran companies, I did operations, soup to nuts for companies. So I understand what it takes in terms of employees for a company to accomplish what they need to accomplish. So a lot of times a company will come to me, they don't even necessarily understand or know what they're missing. They just know they need someone, and I sit down with them and talk to them, and I understand through me running companies sometimes what they're missing, and then I'm able to go out and find that person that has unique skills maybe to fit in to what they need and help them, grow. So, I mean, I staff all size companies. I've staffed from one person to companies that have thousands of employees. So I just get a good feel of what they're lacking in a person. So it's more than just a job. I give a very personal experience to the job seeker. I sit down with them or video with them, whatever I need to do. I've traveled to different states to clients to do interviews in person, and so I find that exact fit for the person. I'm trying to do a one and done thing to try and make the process easy for everyone. And so that's pretty much what I do. And it's not about just a job description. Someone could tell you I need someone with ABC skills, but not everyone may have ABC. They may have A, B, and D. And is that C skill something they can learn or, you know, learn and grow with? But and it's a matter of there's all different types of things why someone's great for a job. Can they get to the job? Can they do the hours? I just put that personal spin on getting to know a person and understanding the company and their culture and really finding the fit for the culture more than even just the job.
Appreciate it. Thank you for these insights. It's very important that we have these discussions so that our audience and listeners they'll understand what makes you different than your services. So that's a really fruitful conversation. Truly appreciate it. Thank you, Jolie. Sami, shall we continue with you? What makes your organization different, and why companies, institutions, organizations should work with you for the ERP services that you provide?
Sure. Great question. So it's a very competitive world, and everybody has a lot to offer. And then for iTech perspective, what we focus on, I've been doing this for the last 20 years, and there are some common elements that I have noticed that even big consulting companies struggle. First off is that actually providing good teams. Every project team I worked in had brilliant people, and they pulled a lot of project, but there were also a lot of people who basically didn't know what they were doing. So when we started iTech, the focus was everybody, and literally 100% of our staff needs to be certified, and we have basically our own curriculum. So we invest a lot in training. So we have a world-class team, and when we deploy them, we make sure that the client gets to interview each and everybody, and they're comfortable with them. And the other challenge was what I have noticed in the industry is that first, even if they interview, after 2 months, people get reassigned, and then you lose a lot of the momentum. So our commitment right out of the gate, the client will interview. They'll pick the consultants who are certified, the engineers that are most compatible, and we will commit to deploying those resources for the full term of the project. Secondly, we also provide backups as well. So it's not just one person goes away and then everything is lost. The way we structured, because we have an offshore delivery model, we can optimize the cost. We also provide backups so that even if somebody leaves in the worst case scenario, they can leave our organization where we don't have any control. There's somebody in the backup. So especially in the ERP world, in implementation of ERP technology, that becomes very useful. The other thing I would say is the pricing wise, right? So ERP projects, it's always if you read the literature, is one of the riskiest and most uncertain projects. There are delays, there are cost overruns. We commit to a fixed fee model, and if we cannot deliver on time, we take up the cost so the client doesn't have to, right? So there's a lot more things we do on a day-to-day basis, managing the relationship and making sure what the client needs instead of just focusing on billable hours. And the true success of our ERP implementation doesn't come on the day of go live. It comes after 6 months of go live in retrospect. So we incorporate 6 months of support within our fixed fee model. So that is a very attractive model, and I don't know anybody else in the industry who offers this. So that's in a nutshell.
Totally appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sami. Eric, what makes your organization different, and why should companies and organizations should partner with you? What makes you different?
Yeah, that's always a good question. So a lot of people try to be different, but what I try to do on my end is not look at clients as a transactional kind of business. It's more collaborative, and the reason that I'm able to do that is because I do have a lot to offer. So, for example, I was referred recently to a home health aid agency to improve their employee benefits for attraction and retention and redesign their retirement plan. So that was the initial conversation. But as you start to develop the relationship and you start to ask more questions, and it becomes more of a collaboration rather than just sitting across the table and let's get this transaction done. I found that she was looking to exit the business in the next few years, and that's why she wanted, a more robust benefit package. And then we started talking about gifting, taxes, succession plan, generational planning. So, one leads into another. If you really care about your client and you really want to get to know them, and with, again, so much to offer, it's not always just about one transaction. For me, I try to build a relationship, and that is what I try to do to differentiate myself. It's not, let me get this product done, and maybe I'll talk to you again, and maybe I won't. It's let's build a relationship, because as your business changes, your needs change. There might be ways that I can help you accelerate some of your growth, and be a little bit more thoughtful, and bring in other professionals and help build a team to help you make sure that you're doing everything that you need to do, and everyone's coordinating and talking together. And again, more of a collaborative kind of relationship is where I would like to get with my clients. And so that's building relationship, building trust, communicating what we have to offer, and then just try to be there for them when they need us.
Thank you, Eric, for these insights. Much appreciated. Laila, how about your services? So you offer a variety of services in terms of editorial services. What makes your company and your services different in the marketplace? Why should companies, organizations choose you as a partner?
Unbeknownst to me, I've been sort of on the road to get where I am now without planning. My undergraduate degrees are actually literature and theater. And I worked in theater for a very long time, as I said, as a dramaturg, which is someone who works with playwrights and making sure that there aren't timeline issues or character issues. And so I did that for a very long time, and landed quite by accident when I was looking for full-time work in academic editing, and worked for 6 years with the best editor I ever could have imagined. I could not be working for myself for the last 14 years without that really a degree education under this man. And so everything has sort of led me to what I'm doing right now. And like Jolie, I have both independent writers, but also businesses, because I spent a very long time prior to the last 14 years in corporate America. So I understand corporate America. I understand timelines. I understand it may have to go through 6 different divisions and then come back to me after everybody signed off on it. And so I have that ability. Like one of my clients is an investment firm, and I do everything from their quarterly reports to looking at their website data, excuse me, to make sure that it all matches up. One of my authors was a finalist for a Kirkus Review, which, if anyone knows that, is one of the highest book awards that you can get. And her book started, it was not molded right, and she knew that. She'd been writing it for a while. And so I worked with her and eventually got the book where it was all her work, but it eventually won a finalist for Kirkus. I've worked with repeat managers. I've had managers who I've worked with freelance, and then they go to another job and they've hired me for that second job where, hey, I'm now working at, are you still available for freelance? And I think what makes me different is my collaborative nature, that I know how to make words crisp and clear and cohesive and be collaborative. And so, and my authors are everywhere. Like one of my projects right now is on musical theater, and another one is a man who's hired me multiple times before. He's running for office in Illinois, and he needs a book for his platform. So if it's nonfiction, written word, website, publication, PR, I pretty much have handled it. If I don't think I'm right for the job, I will let you know that. I'm just like, I don't do math, I don't do science, I don't do, I will let you know if I'm not right for the job.
I appreciate it. Yes, that's important to share these insights with the client to build a relationship. Thank you so much, Layla, for sharing these details and insights with us. Jesse, how about Events Corp? What makes Events Corp different, and why should companies partner with Events Corp?
Spot Corp events.
Spot Corp
No,
events.
yeah,
Okay.
that's okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So Spot Corp events, and I think the answer is what doesn't make us different. I think when people think of employee engagement or team building, the first thing they think about is not theater and storytelling. I think they probably think about, whether you're on the team building side and things like escape rooms, or, you're thinking on the employee engagement side and you're thinking like a boardroom with like developmental conversations and all of that. The conversation of like put on a sock puppet or write a rap like probably doesn't come up. And the reason for that, and the reason that what we do is so valuable, is that employees have gotten smart. They know what's going on. They know what team building looks like. They know what employee engagement looks like, and they know how to be resistant to it. And so, like, it's so funny the amount of meetings I've walked into, and no disrespect to these companies, but the amount of meetings I've walked into and been like, hey, I do team building, and they go, we don't want to go to an escape room. Like, we don't want to do it. And the reason they're saying that is because of something called forced fun. And forced fun is basically the concept of let's all get together and enjoy ourselves. And a lot of people don't want that. They want something that is dynamic and individual and actually speaks to their organization. And that's why every single product that we offer has some level of customization to fit the needs of you and your company. Every product, especially our flagship product, which is our Spot Corp session, offers the opportunity for a lot of the content and the things being created to be created by you and your team in the room. So even if, Joe is like, I don't want to do this, and Tim is like, this is kind of cool, then Joe sees Tim performing a little bit of his thing and goes, oh my gosh, that's so funny. I never thought that about Tim. All right, you know what? This is actually honestly kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to go for it because we're all here together, and then everyone's laughing. And then through our customized prompts, we get to the heart of things that actually matter to your business. So it's not like just dance like a chicken. It's like, what are some things you need to feel supported in? Or what is one time you were resistant to change, but were able to move through it? So we actually confront things that matter, but we use the lightness and the playfulness of theater to lighten things and soften things. And then the last thing, because what makes us different is the easiest question for me to answer, is I would say we're generation proof. So a lot of team building, organization, and employee engagement, it kind of speaks to one generation. You know, there's things like sharing circles and wellness and things like that. That's really important to Gen Z, who really care about being seen, heard, and valued. We're in a passion-driven economy, as I said earlier. Or you have something that speaks to your millennials. My group, when like we were brought up like going out to beer, like happy hours with our coworkers, or going to the batting cages, things that had nothing to do with work but were fun. And then there is baby boomers, and obviously these are just my observations from my experiences and the research I've done, but this doesn't speak for everyone. But baby boomers tend to want the bottom line, the facts. Let's not just skip in a circle. Tell me why this is important. And that's why we pair everything we do with academic research from places like the Harvard Business Journal, and from things like, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name of the big survey company, but with a lot of very reputable sources to make sure that the products that we deliver are not just fun, are not just meaningful, but have actual tangible results to you and your organization.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. Much appreciated. Well, to your point, these generational differences in terms of how it shapes the professionals, their expectations, the way that we need to communicate is really, really fascinating. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, we had the founder of babyboomers.org, the website and the organization, and we discussed about the boomers generation and how they are doing and what makes them different as well. So that's definitely an important conversation, and that affects businesses because these generations shape organizations, and their expectations also reflects on these business relationships. Absolutely. Dan, can you tell us about Care Consulting? What makes Care Consulting different, and why should companies partner with Care Consulting, and how they can utilize RAMP in your own practice?
Sure. Let me just start by saying that Kerr Consulting has been around since 1987, so staying power says something, right?
Absolutely.
So I will say let me say what doesn't make us different, and what customers should expect of a company like ours that implements accounting systems. They should expect knowledgeable consultants. They should expect great project management. They should expect implementations that are delivered on budget and on time. And that is what we endeavor to deliver. What makes us different is that every one of our consultants are tenured, experienced in their industry. So these are folks that have spent many years, decades in some cases, working in the industry to which they ultimately have decided to consult in. So these are usually controllers or CFOs that have, as I call it, come over to the dark side and decided that now they want to work in accounting technology. So by doing that, we really have folks that really truly understand what our customers are experiencing. Doing accounting systems conversions are akin to root canals. You could say it one way or the other, but it's a very difficult activity to accomplish, and to Sammy's point, very high risk. So having people that truly understand what our client is going through, some of the risks that they're mitigating, some of the cultural shifts that they're having to drive, really helps deliver successful implementations and creates forever clients for us. Interestingly, on the RAMP side, so what we've done is we've built some connectors, some intellectual property that helps connect RAMP to some legacy Sage systems, specifically Sage 100 and Sage 300. RAMP is really ahead of its time in the expense management space, and we have now brought this capability to legacy accounting systems that would love to use this product but don't have the automation necessary in order to make the case for ROI. So by doing so, we've partnered with this large corporation to help drive value into a market that couldn't otherwise truly access the benefits of this product. So we're very multifaceted. I think the last part that really makes us difference is our services are complementary in all phases of the accounting technologies game. So not only do we implement accounting systems, we help our clients build their tech stack, and then we also have teams that take care of the data migration from legacy systems. And finally, if they have any sort of customizations, integrations with outside systems, we have a development team that comes in and connects those. With the ultimate goal is really truly bring forward their dream of automating their technologies.
Thank you, Dan. Well, I had also pleasure of interviewing Dave Kerr. We talked more about Kerr Consulting in that interview on the American Business Podcast, and I remember one of his when I asked him about any career advice for the next generation. He talked about accounting a lot, and he actually recommended next generation to focus on accounting practices and considering being a CPA. So that passion for accounting and the technology was just there in that podcast episode, I remember. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing these insights.
Thanks, Kevin.
Well, okay. Well, in this round, let's talk about the biggest challenge that you see in organizations that you are solving. You work with many different companies in different sizes in your own practice, in your own profession. So, what do you see when you engage with the company or organization that the biggest challenge or a common challenge that you see that you address and you help them solve? That let's talk about these in this round. Alex, shall we start with you?
Yes, and that's a very appropriate question, certainly for my consulting business, because I'm kind of an outsider when I do the consulting. And so typically, top management in the organization decide for whatever reason that they want the organization to be ISO certified. Okay, so that does impose certain policies, procedures, and certainly record keeping. So it kind of changes if the company was not really following the quality management principles that ISO requires. So that requires some changes, and certainly changes to what the workers have been doing. And as you can realize, if you've been doing some job for years and years, and you used to do it a certain way, and now you're forced to change how you do your work. And obviously, that you know, you then get some resistance from the employees. Uh, so I think the part of my job is, well, there's no, they have to adopt the changes because that is being driven by top management. But my job is to try to convince the workers that there is a big advantage of getting more organized and follow the principle of ISO, because ultimately what ISO requires is continuous improvement. Okay, and if you follow the guidelines, uh, your improvement process will be greatly improved. And what does that mean? Well, it means that your customers will be happier, and then your profits and your company will be able to grow and hire more people and make more money. So I think getting over the initial hurdle of understanding what benefits is it not only to the company but to the individual workers is the biggest struggle that I have. But once I think they understand and they appreciate, if you have an organized quality management system, then it really starts to flow, very well. And at the end, I think they're very happy that there's a organized process in dealing with quality.
Thank you, Alex, for this. Appreciate it. Sami, would you like to go next in terms of your company solving issues, challenges, typical challenges that you see in,
Right.
in organizations that you're interacting with, that you are helping them solve and
Yeah.
address?
Right. There are three. If you look at technology, it's moving really fast. So every year you think maybe this year it will slow down, but that's a fallacy. Every year technology is accelerating. So if you just look at the last 5 years, obviously we started with the cloud adoption, and we're not even done. And now we have machine learning and AI. And then on the cybersecurity space, there is so much increased threat that everybody's playing catch up. And for an organization where technology is just an enabler and not core operations, it's very difficult for the leadership and the management to understand what exactly needs to be done. And that's where we come in, and we try to help them understand things, and not just throw jargons and go into deep academic discussions. It's more like, okay, these are the five things you need to do, and this is why you need to do them. So once we break it down in those terms, the conversations become easier. There's more clarity across the organization, and that's how we enable the change that needs to happen. Even if you look at ERP technology, setting aside the cloud and cybersecurity, things like RPA, robotic process automation, AI, everybody's saying that this will maybe replace people. That is yet to be seen. But instead of thinking it that way, if you just think it that, okay, like anybody who has used Chat GPT for even 30 minutes will appreciate what it can do. And one thing it cannot do is, at least at this point in time, is not, cannot replace a person. Human judgment is still involved. So going through that and how ERP can be integrated with the AI. So we work with leading products who have already invested in AI and has gotten certain capabilities. So understanding the capabilities of this and also the limitations of this is very important. If you, yeah, I think I guess except Jesse, we're all old enough to remember the advent of the internet, right? So when internet came, nobody knew what exactly was going on, right? It took a decade to figure out that what is possible and what is not possible and what will probably happen in the future, right? So it's the same thing. This is a very an environment, very enormous amount of ambiguity and uncertainty, and helping them navigate and having that conversation is also part of the solution we provide, right? And that's what makes things eventually successful. I've seen so many companies adopted the technology, and then 6 months, 1 year later, they just throw it away, because when they decided, they really didn't know what they were buying, right? And that's something we try to really focus on at the start of the project or the conversation, so that doesn't happen. So that's about it for now. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for this insight. Jolie, shall we continue with you? What type
Sure.
of challenges? Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
So first, I want to say I agree with you when you said accounting is a good profession for kids to go into when they
Yes,
go to college. I always say accounting. No one ever listens, but I tell everyone accounting.
that's a great
There's
point.
tons of
Yes.
jobs in that field and they're sought after. But, what I do is dealing with people, and people are not an exact science. So it's very hard to get them to do what you want them to do all the time. Like even just something basic like showing up to work on time. So that's one of the biggest challenges we deal with is just, humans, and I know we'll get probably into the AI, but
Mhm.
I don't see that human element going away because you just need people to think about things differently and analyze things, I feel like. But I'm just very hands on when it comes to people and making sure they're happy.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's it's just dealing with people. When everyone says, "What do you sell?" I sell people, and it's hard. It's not selling a system that does what you need to do.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That's spot on. Much appreciated. Thank you, Jolie. Well, let's continue with Eric, if that's okay. Eric, what are some of the typical or common challenges that you see in organizations that you help them solve and address?
So there's a pretty common theme with most of small businesses. They're so focused on running their business that they kind of take their eye off the ball when it comes to employee benefits and relationships. Um, so, we work with clients that have existing benefits, but they're not being utilized. They're not understood. And oftentimes, you know what, they're not appreciated. So it's trying to come up with some kind of communication program to let the employees know, look, you have these benefits. Maybe it's in a benefit, maybe it's in a book that they never read, or it's online where they never go to, and they're not using it, so they don't appreciate it. So coming up with a communication plan, and also making sure that those benefits are worthwhile, right? So you can offer something that no one's using. So, or do you still want to spend the money to offer that kind of program? So it's a deeper dive and a deeper analysis on your existing benefits. And then any new benefits that might be interesting to your employees, we can send out surveys, we can ask them, and I can certainly use my experience with previous clients in different organizations on what's going to be more worthwhile for a manufacturer to offer versus, a blue collar law firm. Those are different personnels. Those are different needs. And then sometimes we'll take a benefit, like a wellness benefit, and we'll gamify it. So it incentivizes them to use that benefit. And there's rewards and online prompts and text that you get and reminders. Hey, you've got this great program. Maybe it's time to do a wellness checkup and take take a little wellness test and see where you're at with your health, mental and physical. And maybe that'll help prompt you to take advantage of some of the benefits and maybe be a healthier person and more productive worker.
Yes, being proactive, right? Preventively.
Absolutely.
Being on top of it. Yes, that's a great point. Appreciate it. Thank you, Eric. Let's continue with Laila, if you may, if I may. Hello, Laila. So,
Hi.
yes. So, what are typical challenges that you see in organizations that you help them address? Common challenges that you see that you help them solve and improve their processes.
Well, I have two types of clients. I have solo writers and I have businesses, and they have very different, unique issues. For solo writers, a lot of it's getting published. So it's making their book as crisp as possible, but it also may be talking to them about indexing. Do they need a bibliography? Not that I do all of those works, but I can put it out there, let them question it, and then perhaps guide them towards organizations. There's the American Society of Indexers, but it's getting them to think of this. They wrote the book, but now they may not be thinking about all the parts that a reader might be expecting. And things like table of contents. Do all the table look the same? The headings of the titles of the chapters, do they look at least similar? So your book is a unit. For industry, it might be, I worked with a company that was website based and was all about resumes and cover letters. And you name an industry, and you can have 6 different kinds of resumes and 7 kinds of letters. But there was no uniformity. So I worked with one of the managers to create a style guide. So all their in-house writers and their freelancers it felt like the company had a voice and not 17 different people writing, articles about resumes. So it's very different depending on industry people have a different problem than solo authors. So, but that's how I work with both of them.
Yes, thank you so much, Laila, for sharing these insights. Jesse, how about for the Spot Corp events?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to echo what Jolie said, which is that I work with people, and people deal with a lot of different things. I think one of the interesting things about what I do is that when we're talking to like CEOs and leaders, yes, sometimes they want to talk about the people problems, but sometimes they just want to be like, what are you going to do for our bottom line? And the answer to that is we're going to improve your retention and we're going to improve your productivity. And then they go, okay, great. How are you going to do that? And that's when I say, it's up to your organization. It's up to what's not working and what breakdowns are taking place in your organization. And so the first thing, like we work with like mergers and acquisitions, so like new leader, old team, things like that. I think the funniest thing is that I can be on the same contract with two different teams, and I can be in one session with the leader planning and be like, okay, what do you want? And they're like, we need more teamwork. We're just not bonded enough as a team. And I'm like, okay, great. And then I go to the next team in the exact same organization. I go, what do you need? And they go, my employees need more autonomy. They need to take more risks and try things without me. And so it's about understanding each individual team need. But I would say generally, like as a hierarching for those two needs of productivity and retention, it comes down to communication issues. It comes down to people not voicing what they need and how they feel and expressing it in a way because they feel respectful and it feels safe for them to do it. And so, communication issues can be anything from people not voicing their like disgruntledness with the way something was handled and then slowly becoming resentful, to someone just not asking for clarification on a project and then doing it wrong and then it has to be done again. It all comes down to the way we communicate and the way we relate to each other. And once we transform that, we transform our whole organization.
Yeah, this is really exciting. Yes, thank you, Jesse, for these insights. Let's continue with Dan from Cure Consulting. You can keep it to RAMP if you want to be more specific. So what type of challenges and issues that RAMP is solving when you are working with organizations?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. So RAMP is a expense management, spend management system. So organizations that have credit cards, your Amex, your MasterCard, Visa, that they've issued out to their employees. And I think many of us who've worked in larger organizations know that when you have spend policies, it's very difficult to enforce those across the organization in a uniform way and in such a way that ultimately maximizes the spend of the company's dollar and transitions that into value for the company, right? So whether it's a salesperson taking out, having a budget for meals and entertainment, or someone in IT being able to buy specific technologies that they need in order to in order to run the organization. So what RAMP solves for is a full spend management platform that is connected to a centralized car system. It's backed by Visa, but what it does is allows the company itself to align their spend allotments to the various users of their cards from a centralized place. So the company can decide, well, our sales folks have, let's say a $5,000 a month budget on meals and entertainment. Or let's say everybody should get a, little spiff health benefit every month. And it's a really easy way to deliver, let's say $100 per diem for them towards a health benefit. And so that is all wrapped around full automation into the accounting system, which really solves a huge, huge problem for the accounting departments that have to manage, thousands of lines and thousands of transactions that need to be validated, audited, and supported by some sort of receipt. should there ever be an outside audit. So RAMP solves that in a very easy to use manner. It actually, dare I say, makes expense tracking and report tracking for the credit card holders easy and enjoyable. And it also solves for some of the challenges that the accounting department has, which is getting those receipts through the door, right? Getting those expenses written up and approved by an employee's manager or department head.
Yeah, these are all the important benefits that you mentioned. Thanks for sharing. Well, let's continue to the next round, if that's okay. In this round, I like us to talk about AI a little bit. Some of you talk about it a little bit in general in your answers in the previous round, but let's just dive deeper a little bit and let's share your professional insights, how AI is impacting business in general, and you can be a little bit more specific about your business, about your profession, about your practices. How is it impacting, and what do you see? How it's going to shape the business landscape in general as well? Alex, shall we start with you for this round?
Well, yes, certainly, but this is kind of a difficult question for me because what I feel is that eventually a robot will replace me, and uh, I won't really be needed. But that's way beyond my lifetime, so I don't have to worry about that for quite a while. But being serious, near term, I think yes, there is quite a bit of what I call AI creeping into the quality management system because again, I mentioned that before, is that you need to have a lot of data that you collect about your products. In other words, because you have to deliver, the goal is to deliver defect-free products to your customers. So what you have to do internally is obviously perform a lot of testing, and now you have to keep records. Obviously, you'll find some non-conformances with your product as part of your testing. So all of that has to be recorded, and a lot of data is maintained uh, to then evaluate how you do your continuous improvement. Now, how do you control and manage the data? Okay, well, uh, ISO doesn't really dictate how you do that. You can certainly maintain all your records as hard copies and store them in file cabinets and so on, but realize that that takes space. It's not efficient. When you have an audit, the auditor has to go through all the papers and it takes more time. So the alternative is to obviously use a tool. And there are tools, and certainly Kevin is actually, involved in recommending tools that automate all of this process. And once if you adopt this tool, everything, all your data can be stored in that tool. And the nice thing about it is that when the auditor comes to evaluate your performance, he can actually do that offline, because if you give him access to look at the data, he can do it from a remote location, and that the whole audit will take a lot less time and be more efficient. So that's, I think, where it's heading. And I think it's, from my experience, I think it's been very successful with companies that I have consulted for.
Yes, when it comes to AI and quality management, that's this conversation can take for a long time. The only thing that comes to my mind is, in terms of AI being utilized like all the way, is not anytime soon. It is because Alex, when you go to organizations, they have different quality management systems in place, so the details are different, the data different, so that really needs human intervention in that sense. But how long it's going to take for AI to completely take over, then that remains to be seen.
Hopefully not for a long time.
For a long time, that's for sure. Yeah, not anytime soon. But it's coming up. That's also for sure. All right, sounds good. Well, Jolie, how about you? What do you think about AI? You mentioned a little bit in the previous round, but let's dive a little deeper if that's okay. So, in staffing and human resources and talent management in general, how do you see AI is impacting and changing the landscape?
So it's funny because more and more people are coming into me with their resumes concerns about AI picking up their resume and being called for about a job. They're all, how should I make my resume so whatever system is being used to screen resumes, their resume gets seen. And I don't really know the answer to that, because my system um, is a little bit AI and picks up the skills, but I'm so hands-on and so focused with the personal touch about it, that I don't really let the system dictate who I'm going to call or not. But and now I've also heard from people that they're having AI interviews, pre-screening interviews. So you're getting called by a computer that's asking some questions, taking notes, and going back to the company and deciding if they should take a step further with that person. And that, I mean, to me, it just rules out the human touch again of all the other factors with the cultural fit of a person. So, yes, it's being implemented in staffing. I have done demos and things like that to try and see, because I don't want to be left behind in AI, because it's such a important factor in moving forward in business. But it takes away that human element that I feel is so important. So I don't know how I feel about all of that, but it is impacting staffing.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Jolie, for these insights. How about you, Eric? What do you think about the impact of AI in your field as well as in general?
Sure. Well, let's hope singularity is a little way off. But it impacts a couple different ways. So one of the biggest challenges with businesses is the rising cost of insurance, whether it be their liability or their health insurance or workers' comp. So we're hoping that AI is going to help streamline some of the insurance industry's analysis of the benefit and hopefully reduce future increases. I don't see anything coming down, but maybe they'll be a little bit better at predicting with AI. With the underwriting, there is some AI creeping into the underwriting of these products. Like you just mentioned, removing some of the human element and using data and historical data, and to be able to be a better predictor of claim rates potentially. So that does streamline the process and make things a little bit faster. And on my end as an advisor, I like some of the AI tools to help me communicate better, to summarize my meetings, to distill documents. And that's just scratching the surface. I'm sure I'm not even using a fraction of what I potentially could, but it's creeping in, and it's probably not going to replace the role of a consultant too soon. But in the meanwhile, it's going to help us be more efficient and provide better services.
I appreciate it. Thank you for these insights. Laila, what do you think about the impact of AI in general in business?
I think the publishing industry has been severely impacted by AI, and that's why there are all these lawsuits. From my end, I questioned whether or not I wanted to learn to use it, and then someone I very much trust said, "You won't lose a job because you don't know AI. You'll lose a job to someone who does." And so I've actually taken an AI for editors class, and I just finished advanced AI editor for editors class. Um, it's a tool, and a lot of companies think that they can use it to replace a person, but it's only a tool. And so um, my humanity is actually my calling card, because I can put things into ChatGPT and I know how to do the research that's close. It's not a cigar. Um, I know how to use it appropriately. I had an author come to me. I did not accept the work, who very proudly said that he'd done 6 books in 6 months. And I looked at the first one and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. 6 books in 6 months. That means he only used ChatGPT. There is also another product called Note LLM that is, you put a product, you can put a chapter in there, and it's its own entity. It doesn't go out to the universe. So if I put in a chapter of a book, it only looks at that chapter. That tool is a tool of, it says, earlier in the chapter, this happens, and then later in the chapter it says that happens. And so that just gives me a clue of, maybe that was supposed to happen, maybe that isn't confusion. And so for me, AI is a tool. When I was doing the book for the guy who's running for office in Illinois, I used ChatGPT to make sure the agency that he was discussing, that's how Illinois State says, that's how the agency is named. Um, and so for me, it's a tool. And my whole thinking has gone from, I don't think I want to learn it, to, I know how to use it for those authors or businesses that are okay using it in a certain way. And I have the skills that I don't have to use it if there is someone who doesn't want to. And in my letter of agreement now, I have an opt in, opt out, so that if you want me to use it, I can, and it tells you how I will use it, or opt out, and the answer is no. So it has become, it's a tool. I'm sure some of you have heard, two different well-known newspapers came out with summer reads by books that didn't exist, authors that didn't write those books. It's the person who put the list together should be ashamed of themselves, because you need to go to a library. You need to check out, did so and so write this book? Is this the correct name of the book? So it's a tool. From my perspective, a lot of authors think it can replace me. And that's probably where I see the biggest problem is authors who don't understand it's a tool and you still need a human being.
Absolutely. And that originality, when you put this together, is also critical. And what I see is, just to support your point, if they heavily use AI to put something together, you can tell. You know how? Because I'm using a couple of different generative AI tools, right? When you ask the same question, they are pretty much giving the same answer. Like, they have a style, right? Because it's also reading from somewhere, the database that they put together to feed the AI. It's pretty similar. So the answers are similar. So when you start using it, you can see the pattern. And
Yes, and it's how you prompt. So
yes.
one of the class was very much on how do you prompt it
Mm.
to get, like, when I do a prompt, I always ask it, use only reliable sources. Say I'm doing something medical, and do not hallucinate. And so I tell it what it can and can't do, and also never use Wikipedia. That's just part of my prompts.
Okay.
So yeah, but I see a lot of authors is like, we don't really need, we'll just use AI.
Wow.
But now companies are coming back saying, oh, we went to AI only, and boy, we had holes. So now we actually need someone to oversee the
Okay.
AI. That seems to be coming around now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I'm glad that we talk about this, because it also um, explains in more detail how important your services are actually. It's not only about AI as just a tool, and how you're going to use the AI, whether you're going to use the AI. These are all decisions that needs to be made. But then professionally, what you offer is precious, and it's great. And we talk about this in this round in more detail. So I'm really glad. Thank you very much, Laila, for these details and insights. Jesse, what do you think about AI, the impact of AI?
Such a big question. And it's funny because I'm pretty sure you asked me something similar on your podcast, and I
Yes,
had
yes.
probably a much different answer
Okay.
about 6 7 months ago. But I think the answer is that, like, with what Lila said, like, you can't you can't resist the human touch. I mean, thankfully, the head of my production, my chief production officer, who does all of our content, all of our research, all of our, she like Lila has really specific and strict rules on how she and I use AI to build our sessions. There, any part that's about humanity, any part that's about identity, any part that we have to build that ourselves. It's not run through AI. It's not communicated through AI. It has to be built with us. And I think that, you know, when you incorporate AI, you start to get that generic. You start to get that nuance. You know, it's funny. So we do a lot with storytelling prompts, and there is a very big difference between, like, what is something that you care about in your work versus what is something you truly care about in your work. It is a one word difference, and AI may not notice the difference, but I'm going to tell you, it's sometimes the difference between us changing your organization and us having a nice afternoon with you. And that is the detail oriented work that we do to make sure that we truly shift your organization and truly have the impact. Now that's the creative design side. On the CEO side, it's a little different. I am a founder. I've got a small team, and I work constantly, and sending out sales emails and things like that. It's not okay for me to just have AI generate all that, because again, that's impersonal and all of that. But I use AI. AI grammar checks everything. Now I've made it very clear, because it started rewriting my emails, and I was like, no, 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 we're just doing grammar, nothing else. And so it gets that. And then I will use it sometimes on, like, sales strategy, because, like, I come from the world of like corporate development, corporate consulting, and theater. So my background in sales was more as a salesperson. It was never as the leader of sales. So I'll be like, what's a good time to follow up, and how many of these things. But to what Lila said, like, ChatGPT sometimes makes things up. That's
That's
the
true.
main that's the main one that I use. And even as recently as yesterday, thankfully it was something that I was like, hey, I pulled this up as a preliminary. Take a look at it, and it was an internal conversation. And my COO looks at it and he goes, all of this was made up. And I was like, oh. And I was like, I did say I used AI. He's like, you did. And I was like, we need to, and I had to go back and read all of the articles, and it was actually the flip of some of the things it was saying. But because AI knows what I like to hear and what I'm used to hearing now, it will feed me that version of information, and the real information is more nuanced, more complex, more interesting. And so I think for me, as a creator and a professional, it's about, in this industry, it's about using it as little as possible to make sure I have the human touch. I know what's happening in my industry. I know there are full employee engagement platforms that are built on AI. It's just, that's not what you're going to get with us. That's not what we are offering, and it's not what I think is going to truly create the breakthroughs that you're looking for in your organization. It's going to isolate more than integrate. And then as a CEO, I use it a decent amount to do things like check grammar, and just because I'm moving fast and things like that. But it is really important to acknowledge, and shout out to my COO, because it is really important to acknowledge that it is not foolproof, and that you need to check every single thing that it's telling you, because it could just be making it up.
Yes, thank you for these insights. And yes, ChatGPT, does make up stuff sometimes, and we need to make sure it's accurate. So that's definitely an important point here. Well, let's run our last round, if that's okay, and then we can wrap it up. And I truly appreciate your insights. It's been really insightful for me as well as for our audience, that's for sure. And I'm happy that we also have a chance to network here and meet. So make sure to connect after these event as well, as we are sharing the contact information in the on the screen. All right, sounds good. So in the last round, let's wrap this up, our conversation. Um, you can just, as final notes, why should companies work with you? And if you have any announcements, any updates that's coming up, that you like to share with us here, you can share it as well. And this is going to be our last round before we end the Connectional America Business Alliance networking event for this month. Well, Alex, shall we start with you?
Sure, yes. Well, in my case, it's very simple because I get clients through word of mouth, through my performance. Like I said, I'm working by myself. So I'm not trying to grow my business. I just would like to maintain it because I really enjoy doing it myself. And I do have very good recommendations. And that's the way I'm going to continue as long as I can do that. Uh, that's my goal. All right. And
Thank you.
again, thank you very much for inviting me, Kevin.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you for sharing your professional insights.
Very
And
interesting session, and I learned quite a bit listening to all the other participants. So again, thank you very much. Mhm.
thank you very much. And to our listeners and audience, Alex is expert. He's an expert in ISO 9001. He's a certified lead auditor for ISO 9001, and for any organizations who likes to build a quality management system and likes to be certified for ISO 9001. Alex is a great resource, great expert that you can work with. I have the email address on the screen, so you can stay in touch with Alex and continue this conversation. That is our goal here. And Alex, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. Mhm.
I appreciate it. Jolie, let's continue with you if that's okay. As final notes to introduce your company and your
Sure.
services.
So with me, it's easy. We save you time. If I know some companies said they just put an ad on Indeed themselves and got 400 resumes. So if you have the staff and the resources to dedicate to going through yourself, but you don't pay us unless we find you someone. So it always pays to partner with us because we find you people, and if you want to hire our people, then that's when there's a fee involved. And the flip side, there is no charge to the job seeker. So if you're looking for a job, you need resume help, all career coaching, we do all that at no charge. So we're really a really good resource to reach out to, no matter what side you're on.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is both for companies and organizations, and for job seekers that they can be in touch with you
Right.
and have the conversation, get the conversation
Right.
started in that sense. Okay, that's great. And we have your email address and your website on the screen. So
Yes.
our audience, our listeners, because this is going to be also pushed in Spotify and Amazon Music. So if you like to continue the conversation with Jolie about Stefan, about your, if you are a professional for career coaching, then also you can get the conversation started with Jolie as well. That's jobsbyjolie.com for our listeners, and for our viewers. They are also seeing the screen and they can also read the email address and the website. Jolie, thank you very much for being with
Thank
us. I
you.
appreciate it.
I loved it. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
yeah, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you, thank you. Let's continue with Eric. Eric, any final notes to introduce your company, services? Any commercials are welcome. Feel free.
All right. No, I appreciate that.
Of course.
So it's emonroeconsulting@yahoo.com or Risk Strategies. That's emonroe at Risk Strategies. Thank you. So look, 35 plus years, you think you've pretty much seen all the progression of products and services that you can offer. So I'm always out looking for something new. And there is a new trend in employee benefits these days, and it is the healthier employee, the more productive they are, the more your business will grow. And to try to do that, it's not just offering health insurance, it's not just offering disability or critical care or hospital. Those are all kind of after the fact. So the trend is to try to make a healthier workforce before they become needy and use those benefits. So the wellness programs are really designed that we have here to do two things. One, benefit the employee, give them a free wellness benefit with dozens of benefits, telehealth, mental health, physical health, free medications, free immunizations, free screenings. And the employer, in return, because they're offering this, the IRS is giving a tax credit. It's actually a payroll tax relief. So if the employer offers this wellness program, their employees are healthier, and the employer gets about a $620 annual payroll tax relief per person. So if you have 1,000 employees, that's about $620,000 in payroll tax savings. So that is the newest trend. Let's get a healthier workforce. Let's get some tax relief for the employer to offer that as an incentive. And maybe in the end, it'll result in a lower utilization of the other benefits, which will help for some cost offsetting as well. So if anybody with 50 to 1,000 employees or more is interested, I'm happy to tell you a little bit more about this new leading edge wellness program. Thank you. And Kevin, thanks so much. This was a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. Pleasure is all mine. And to our listeners and audience, benefits are important both for the employee satisfaction and performance, as well as the cost management from the employer company point of view. And this requires experts. I mean, we need help as business professionals and owners. That's why Eric's services are actually very important. And I have also his email address on the screen, emonroe@risk-strategies.com for our listeners who are listening. And yeah, and also for our audience, you also see the website as well, risk-strategies.com, to learn more about Eric's services, about employee benefits, and to get the conversation started. Eric, thank you so much for being with us. Truly appreciate it. Appreciate your professional insights.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Laila, let's have the final notes from your side. I love what you do. And please, as final notes, tell us a little bit more, and I'll also put your contact information on the screen.
Yeah, this seminar has actually made me aware of that I've sort of been editing my whole life, starting with theater, where I was for about 15 years, and then academics for 6, and then on my own for 14. So I have the experience. I have the ability to collaborate. That is the most important thing to me, is to collaborate. I would say for business owners to take a look, is everything coming out from your business with a singular voice of your company? So if you hire freelancers, do they have the same voice? Do they have the same language? Do they have the same style guide? So I would say that for companies, one company that I work for, different departments come to me, but I know the voice because there's one person I talk to and say, should this be hyphenated? And she said, well, it was last time, but now we've decided not to. And then for regular authors, I would say you've put your heart and soul into a book. You want to make it the cleanest it can be. And so you really don't want to use ChatGPT. You want a human being, because if your heart and soul and sweat went into a book, you want it to know that a human saw it, maybe a human with AI skills, but a human saw it, so that, because a human is going to be reading it. So that would be my advice for both authors and businesses.
Absolutely. That human touch, that human insight is critical. And that's where, to Jesse's points, that where you can make the breakthroughs with this originality, with this genuine content. That's critical. If you like to be in touch with Laila, info@lailastromer.editorial.com is her email address, and lailastromer.editorial.com is her website to get the conversation started for any of your editorial needs, press releases, and other editorial needs that you may have in your organizations. Then consider Laila. Laila, thank you so much for being
Thank
with us
you.
today. Appreciate it. Jesse,
Yeah.
any final notes about Spot Corp?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there are CEOs who understand the importance of culture, and y'all just call me. for any CEO who thinks that culture is maybe an additional expenditure or unnecessary, think about how much time you spend in your day fielding personal conflicts. Or maybe you're too high up and no one brings those to you anymore. But actually sit down with your C-suite team, or ask your C-suite team to sit down with their teams and ask, how often are personal conflicts brought up to them? That is because you are working in a business with people. Am I saying I'm going to stop conflict in your organization? No, that is an insane process and promise, and human beings are human beings. But what we will do is we will create an environment where people feel safe and confident in bringing the conflicts before they happen. So you don't have to do things like double work. You don't have to do things like one department won't talk to another department because they had completely different perspectives on something. You won't have to deal with things like people constantly leaving, because people are communicating, they're listening to each other, they're connecting, and that's going to save your business millions of dollars. And that seems like something you guys might care about.
Yes, that's for sure. Especially in this economy,
Yeah.
any savings definitely count. But more importantly, to your point, creating that team spirit is critical. Also, Jesse, what is a typical size of companies or organizations that you love to be in touch with?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So we generally specialize in the 50 to 500 size companies. And specifically, as far as people looking to connect with, we're looking for COOs or anyone else in the C-suite who wants to have an impact on culture.
Okay, that's great. And to our listeners and audience, Jesse at spotcorpevents.com is his email address, and spotcorpevents.com is the website. And if you like to start the conversation about team building, uh, please consider Jesse from Spot Corp Events. And he's an expert in this field, and you love his team as well. I had the pleasure of meeting with his team as well. So it's a great team, great company, great organization. I'm sure it'll be a great partnership. Jesse, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Prasad, for having me, and so nice to meet all of you and to hear a little bit about what each one of you do. There's a lot of beautiful synergy.
Yes, absolutely. I'd like to thank you all, Jesse, Laila, Eric, Jolie, Alex, Sami, and then thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for sharing your professional insights. And from what I see, what I've been hearing, every single organization needs to speak to you, at least have a conversation with you, get the conversation started. Everyone, every single organization needs your services, your insights, and your support and your partnership. That's what I'm seeing, that I've been listening to you carefully. So thank you again for being with us, and thank you for sharing your professional insights, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, to our audience and to our listeners, I hope you liked the Connectional America session today. I enjoyed it very much. This is our second monthly business networking event. The first one we started, I believe it was in May. So we are in August. We are also scheduled for the coming months as well. We fill the registration because we have, this is an exclusive event. We can have a certain number of professionals. Whoever comes first is first come first serve basically. And in that sense, if you are interested, if you like to be with us, if you like to join us, introduce yourself, your products, your services, and if you like to share your professional insight with us and with our thousands of business-minded followers and subscribers in the American business podcast, please scan this QR code that I have it on the screen. I have another one here as well. They are both going to the same screen. Yeah, you can visit these sites and you can see what is coming. We have one networking event every single month. When you scan this QR code, you'll see the list. One is coming in September, other one is in October, November, December. So we have the whole year covered, and we'll continue promoting these events. And I'll tell you why. In the American Business Podcast, we talk about important issues. We talk about AI, we talk about tariffs, we talk about employee benefits, healthcare. These are great subjects, and we have these great conversations. I like these conversations turn into actions. That is why we are organizing this business networking event. In the American Business Podcast, we cover different subjects. In the Connectional America Business Alliance, hosted by the American Business Podcast, we actually take action and we connect business professionals with each other and with you as our audience. That's why it's very exciting for us. It's very motivational, and we truly appreciate your support. I know you are listening and you are following. That we get the details and analytics in the background, and we truly appreciate your support. I'm keeping the QR code on the screen for the next event if you like to be a part of it. I'd like to thank you for your time and thank you for your interest. Looking forward to seeing you next Connectional America Business Alliance, CABA, monthly exclusive online networking event. It is scheduled for September. Please scan this QR code and sign up. Thank you very much and have a great weekend.